Howdy folks, the 100k Q&A is here, a little bit earlier than expected. I need to say a big thank you to you all because this thing arrived in the mail this morning. I wasn't expecting it quite so quick, but YouTube have sent me a thing to stick on the wall for 100,000 subscribers. So I need to say thank you guys for being here, for subscribing. This channel ain't nothing without you guys. I know the community here is pretty cool. Like particularly compared to Facebook, but the comment sections after games and, with stats analysis and whatnot, they're always really good value. I learn heaps. I hope you guys enjoy getting down into the comments as well. So thank you guys. The community is really, I think, what makes the channel special. 100,000 subscribers in YouTube terms is pretty small fry. It's taken us a while to get there, but in terms of rugby whiteboard YouTube chat, I think it's right up there. We've got to be number one in the world. So I've already had a quick look in this box. There's a card saying, congrats, Rick packed this special box for me. There's a letter from YouTube saying, do you remember your first subscriber? I do. It was Yeaster. Don't know if Yeaster is still a subscriber. I think that's an Afrikaans word. So, yep. I don't remember the 100th that asks, do you remember your 100th? But you got to 100,000. You got lots of fans to share the community. Congratulations. So thanks for that, YouTube. And then the thing in the box is this thing. It was in plastic, but I already opened it up. So it says 2 cents rugby for passing 100,000 subscribers. So that's bloody awesome, folks. I wish my dad could be here to see this thing. He sadly passed away 2 weeks ago today, so doesn't get to see the actual award, but he did get to see us pass 100,000, which was pretty cool because my mum said that he had been tracking it in the days when we were in the high 90s as to when we'd hit 100,000. And without him, we wouldn't have hit 100,000 because he really convinced a few of you to sign up to the channel. So I really, really appreciate that, guys. On the morning I woke up and saw that it had passed 100,000, I sent them a screenshot to show that it had passed. And my dad sent me a really sweet message. He said, congratulations, Mark. Keep up with the great work you are doing. I always knew you could do it, which is very sweet, but also makes me feel a bit of regret because I remember it was a Saturday that happened, and he sent the message. And Saturdays are usually pretty busy because I got rugby in the morning, take my daughter to a dancing class not too long later, so it's a bit of a madhouse. And I didn't reply to him straight away. And the next message I sent to him was, don't forget to buy a lotto ticket because my parents like to play lotto on Saturday. So I really wish, I'm beating myself up a little bit about it, that I didn't say like, cheers, Dad, thanks for your support and, always being along in the videos and, supporting me all these years and lending me your hats and chatting to me about rugby, because he was always my third news source. You got the radio, you got social media. I don't really watch the news on TV anymore, but my dad would always be like, oh, did you see this guy's signed for this team? Or you see this guy's injured? And I'll be like, what? So I'm gonna miss that. Dad was always my extra source of news and the number one supporter and whatnot. So it's a shame he didn't get to see that thing. But as I said, he got to see the number tick over before he passed on. So that was pretty cool. I just wish I'd replied with a nice message saying, cheers, Dad. Thank you for your love and support over the years. Instead of, don't forget to buy lotto. Which feels a bit shit. But anyway, the 10K Q&A, we haven't done a Q&A, so 100K Q&A, we haven't done one since 10K. I did get a few questions in the monthly update video yesterday, so go through them pretty quick. And you guys can let me know your thoughts. Jose from Argentina says, do you think Argentina deserve to host the Rugby World Cup or potentially a British and Irish Lions tour? I do think South America should be hosting a Rugby World Cup at some point. We've seen Argentina go gangbusters in recent years, and Uruguay and Chile and whatnot are coming along nicely. Arguably, South American rugby is probably in a healthier position than North American at the minute. But will it happen? I'm not sure. South Africa hasn't had a World Cup for years either. There's a few spots which could use one, but I would certainly rather it go to South America than like New Zealand again or Australia again. Australia's getting the next one, so, it'll probably go back to Europe, I imagine. But, yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to see one in South America. Should there be other Lions tour? It'd be lovely, but I can't imagine them breaking up the traditional 3. If they can't be part of their own Lions tour, it would be nice, like we saw this year, to have like each opening game of the tournament play the Pumas. I think that would be cool. Like before they go on tour, maybe like this year, play the Pumas. It'd be good as to be part of every tour. It'd be great if they got to host, but I can't see that happening. Angus said, "What match of 2016 would you most like to go and see?" I mean, probably one of the greatest rivalry matches, because we're really up against the All Blacks. To go to South Africa and imagine if you were there for the game where we got a win. It'd be like being an Aussie fan at Ellis Park this year, seeing that miracle. Or it would have been like being a Bok fan down in Wellington where they mopped the floor with us. You know what I mean? Good chance that won't happen. You won't get the fairy tale result, but it'd be a cracking one to go and see. Most likely upset, I don't know. I can see Italy rolling someone at some point, but hopefully it's not the ABs down in Wellington. Danny said, "What would Gazza have said is the biggest change in rugby since he was my age?" He was always going on about offsides not being policed properly. That was his number one big thing, that he always wanted offsides to be policed more properly by the linesmen. So maybe that, or also sometimes he used to bemoan the fact that you can't ruck people anymore. Back in his day, guys would get all kinds of sprig marks on their backs and whatnot from being actually rucked. So yeah, that's probably one of the other things that he would have said. Jean asks, why no Superbru pools for the major comps? Believe it or not, I do have Superbru pools for pretty much all the major comps. I'm just terrible at advertising them. I always forget to mention them. I'm very bad at like the whole YouTube thing and asking people to like and subscribe. I'm generally not very good at the self-promo stuff. And I'm not even good at like doing the clickbait titles and stuff. I hope I'm erring away from being a clickbait artist, which seems to be the way you could get a lot more views doing clickbait stuff. Hopefully I'm not that guy. Call me out from that guy, but that's not what you're asking. You're asking why no Superbru pool. I do have Superbru pools. I'm just terrible at advertising them. Yeah, if you just search 2 Cents Rugby on Superbru, you should find most of my pools are active. Peter asks, related to Superbru, why, if you've got all this knowledge and stats, are you not top of the Superbru pools? I have won the odd one. I've won the Six Nations pool, I think, a couple of times. But yes, if I had some secret knowledge or the stats were showing me some secret to picking the winning teams, I probably wouldn't be doing this. I'd be making a career out of sports gambling, I would imagine. But yeah, no, I feel like my one weakness in terms of Superbru is I put too much value on past results. Like if I see a team hasn't beaten another team in a certain location, like the Box used to have a terrible record in Australia, even if the Box were in good form and the Wallabies were in bad form, I'd still be like, well, Box don't do well in Australia. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of thing I've got a real weakness for. Like Argentina beat New Zealand in Argentina this year. Well, Argentina never beats New Zealand in New Zealand. Well, they do. The historical stuff only counts for so much. So that's probably my one weakness with the Superbru pool. Well, one of many, but the most obvious one for myself. Simon says, what thing do you dislike about how World Rugby run the game that you would change? If you'd asked me this maybe a year or so ago, I probably would have said just don't change anything for a while, because it feels like they're always tinkering, and too much tinkering leads to a kind of less stable on the field, for want of a better word, product. I would like them to just leave well enough alone for a while. But if I had to change one thing, and it's a popular one to be on the horseman, but I would probably also reduce the amount of TMO. I don't feel like excessive looks at TMO decisions for inconsequential stuff, or at least stuff which is not try scoring, can probably be done after the game. Like if there's a clean out which is a little bit high and it's a penalty only, I would rather not stop the game for 2 minutes to look at that. I would rather them do it after the game, and I'm happy for them to hand out harsher punishments after the game to players for that kind of stuff, rather than making the tens of thousands of people in attendance and the hundreds of thousands or millions of people watching all watch them make that decision. So I would like a little bit of reduced TMO, keep the game going. I know they are moving in that direction with the bunker and whatnot, but yeah, I still think they could streamline that down a wee bit. Danny says, are you going to go to the Rugby World Cup in 2027? I hope so. It's just across the ditch, and I got family in Australia, so I would like to go to the Rugby World Cup in 2027. Anything about the process of making these videos? I generally look at the lineups, look who has been changed in position, and look up stats. I track team stats throughout the year. I like to see what things stand out for each team, where are they looking strong, where are they looking weak, Where have they kind of been up or down recently? What are kind of cool talking points? And then that's a good preview, or a review is just like note taking throughout the game. What are the key moments, decisions that I didn't think went that well, or decision making from players which were poor, or execution which was poor, which are noteworthy. Yeah, it's a whole bunch of note and stat taken and given a few thoughts about the things. But yeah, that's it, folks. Thank you for being here for 100,000. If you haven't subscribed, well, you might as well now, because the next stop is 1,000,000. You don't get anything else from YouTube when you get to 1,000,000. So if it took almost 10 years to get to 100,000, I need to get 900,000 more subscribers. I might have to live until I'm 140. We'll see. We'll see if YouTube is around until then. But anyway, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to thank Willem as well. Willem's the first guy who ever sent me a jersey. Loads of you guys have sent me jerseys throughout the years. Willem was the first one to send a jersey from South Africa. So cheers to that, Willem. And I've had loads of offers from South Africans to say I can go and stay with them, or my kids and wife can come and stay at some point. That's very, very sweet. Some people in other parts of the world have said the same, but yeah, fingers crossed one of these days I'll get out and do a bit more traveling and seeing some games in person. I've been to pretty much all the stadiums here in New Zealand. I've been to one in Australia, but I'm not a very well-traveled rugby fan, sadly. But yes, thank you guys for being here for the 100,000. Cheers to my dad. I love him and miss him. And yeah, you guys take care. Talk to you guys again soon. See you later.